This is Rikki Soumpholphakdy here for The Ring. I am here with WBO welterweight champ Mikaela Mayer, getting ready for her rematch against Sandy Ryan here in Las Vegas this week. Mikaela, how are you feeling right now?
I feel great. It's been a really good camp. I've made a lot of strides. I feel like I'm definitely a better fighter than I was a few months back when me and Sandy first went at it. So I plan to go in there and do it even better this time.
I mean, the first fight was a barn burner. It was entertaining. It was one of the most viewed, I think it was like the highest rated viewed fight on ESPN, and it was great. But I think I just want to get straight to the juicy question. There was a lot of drama in that fight. You know, there was the Coach K stuff. There was the paint stuff. You made it very clear that you weren't responsible for the paint attack on Sandy Ryan. But I don't think Sandy believes you. And are you possibly prepared for any sort of retaliation that might come about this week?
Sandy knows now that I had nothing to do with the paint situation. When we did the interview with Ariel Helwani, she was asked about it, and she basically admitted, she's like, I don't know who did it. So I understand that was her first thought, you know, when that happened, was let's blame Team Mikaela. That was the easiest way to go about it. But anyone who knows me and my team, that's out of character for us. Might talk a little bit in the buildup, but obviously wouldn't want anything to jeopardize the opportunity that I had, because it took me 2 years to get back into position, you know, for a world title fight. So definitely something that I wanted to make sure happened. Hopefully no retaliation happens. I'm going to keep a little cool and have my eyes peeled. But yeah, hope for the best, because this is a big fight. Everyone's going to want to see it, and nothing needs to mess that up.
I think it's great that you guys are running it back, because there was a lot of people that thought it was close. A lot of people thought it could have went either way. It was literally a neck-to-neck fight. You guys were on gear, 10 from rounds 1 through 10. So, but there was a lot of build-up, with that, and then the trainer stuff. You called Coach Flick a towel boy, and I don't
T-shirt boy.
T-shirt boy. And Coach K was working with Sandy, but he didn't actually work her corner on fight night. I think Coach K might be working this one. I'm not sure.
In the whole build up, they're trying to pretty much gaslight me, like I was making a big deal about nothing, and that, she wasn't training with Coach K, but she was. And we all saw videos and tapes of them in the gym together. I didn't just uproot my team and have to find a whole new situation for fun. I knew what was going on, whether they want to admit it or not. So when the fight came down to it, they had Flick in the corner and tried to make him the face of her camp. But, we know who runs Flick. It's Coach K. So, wherever Flick is now, I don't know, but Coach K decided to step in publicly, and he'll be in her corner for this rematch.
How hard is it not to get overly emotional? I mean, you fought a great fight the first time around, but having all that and just really having tunnel vision, is it going to be different this time when you're meeting in the center of the ring, talking to the ref, and you see the chief second is Coach K Karoma?
No, this has been a few months since this has happened, and ultimately, I feel like I leveled up. It was a blessing in disguise for me. I'm 10 times more happy with Kofi. I'm learning at a faster rate. And, some people might think that, she has my old coach in her corner, but it's not going to make a difference. Like, I've leveled up so much, and I'm confident with my corner now, and it is what it is. I'm not going to let that get to me at all.
It's fair. Speaking of trainers, you said you mentioned Kofi. You still have Al Mitchell. He's here. What's that dynamic like? I know Al is still in Michigan, right? Full time, and then he comes here, and then you're training with Kofi down at DLX. What's that dynamic like? How's it working well for you right now?
They work great together, Kofi and Coach Al. Coach Al has been with me for 15 years, so he has the things that he wants me to stick to. And then you have Kofi, who's, younger and, able to get me on the pads and really work me hard. And so he was a puncher back in the day.
Right.
He knew how to sit on his shots. And so that's the sort of element he's bringing into my game, which I think has been missing. But him and Coach Al work well together. Coach Al's keeping me at what I do best and keeping me to my style, and Kofi's adding to it. So there's no ego in my camp, and everyone's working well. It's
amazing. Yeah, I remember coming to your camp last year, going into your last fight, and yeah, Kofi was working. He's a no bullshitter.
Kofi works me in the gym. I said if I can get through 10 weeks with Kofi, I can get through 10 rounds with Sandy Ryan.
Right. I wanted to move across the women's boxing space. You obviously are the WBO welterweight champion. Lauren Price just became, the unified champ after beating Natasha Jonas, who you lost a very close and controversial decision to. She made it very clear she wants the winner between you and Sandy Ryan. And you guys were actually on the same card, I think, when you fought Baumgardner a couple years ago.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Price's performance? And obviously, I'm sure that's a fight that you want to entertain.
Yeah, Price did well in that fight. She boxed how I thought she would. She has better movement and speed than Jonas. So, she used that to her advantage. And I just think that whatever was going on with Jonas, she just wasn't letting her hands go. A bad game plan, or maybe she just wasn't there mentally or physically. I don't know what, but, Lauren did her thing. And I fully expect to be unifying with her at the end of the year. Got to get through this fight with Sandy, but I 100% believe I'll come out on top. And then I'm never one to run from challenges. So that fight won't be hard to make.
Here's where it gets tricky, though. You have been on the short end of the stick with some of those UK fights in the championship fights, whether it was Baumgardner and Jonas. Is it going to be tough in your mind at the negotiation table to be like, okay, because she's going to have the 3 belts and she's going to have the UK behind her and the whole country behind her. Is it going to be tough for you to make that decision and be like, do I want to go back there?
No, I'm not naive to the fact that I'll be coming in with 1 belt and Lauren Price will have 3. So, the chances of getting it here in Vegas are probably slim. And that won't be a major deciding factor for me. Like if I have to go to the UK, I will. The money's right. Money talks and we can make it happen. It does make me a little nervous just because I've been there before, but just got to go and make it clear and do my absolute best. And, sometimes you don't get it in your backyard, and that's okay. I'm no stranger to that, but regardless, we'll make the fight happen for the fans.
Every time you go there, shout out to Mel. Every time Mel brings you there, it's always a good time. Talk about your relationship with the UK and the fans there and how much you enjoy being there.
I really do like fighting in the UK. I spent the last 2 years of my career fighting over there. I've missed the US. I'm glad to be back, but I feel like I've built a nice fan base over in the UK. They always treat me really well. I mean, their fans they're always excited.
They love women's boxing.
They show up. They love the sport. They love women's boxing. They're very supportive. So, I'm not opposed to going back there. I feel like I got a good relationship with people out there. So, we'll see. I would think that because I spent so much time there that I wouldn't be the underdog going on that side, but, we've seen that happen before. So, but I'll be excited to go back.
And there was a big fight that just got announced. Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano are running it back for a 3rd time at MSG. What are your thoughts on them running it back? And, how do you feel about that fight?
Yeah, it's interesting to have a trilogy when they're 2-0, right? But I get it because, that last fight probably should have gone to Amanda with the point deduction. Mm-hmm. And they've both been very action-packed, close fights. I'm a fan of both of them as fighters. So I see business side why they'd be doing the trilogy. People want to see it. The money's there. So why not?
I know you always said you wanted Katie or Amanda on your resume when you were still like 130, 135. Is that something that you're still willing to entertain, even with you being at 47? Maybe it's at 140, catch weight, or are you comfortable at just staying at 47 right now?
No, I stayed at 135 for a little bit because I had won the WBC Intercontinental belt, and that was going to line me up for the winner of Serrano versus Katie. But, it's been a couple years. Good thing I didn't stick around because they're on their way to a trilogy. So I don't know. I moved up. I'm a lot more comfortable at a heavier weight. I can probably cut down to 140. But that's about it. And it's sort of up to them. They're kind of calling the shots right now. They're making good money and they can go where they want to go. I would still love to have Katie Taylor on my resume. I think Serrano said that she's only willing to fight at 140 for Katie Taylor. So I don't think that's possible. But, if Katie's still game after this trilogy and she wants a challenge, then I'm of course always here.
That'd be a great fight to make. Speaking of other fights that that you'd be willing to entertain. Alycia Baumgardner just signed with MVP Promotions. You guys obviously had your fight back in 2022, which was probably one of the wildest built-up fights I think I've ever seen. You guys captured a lot of the casual fans with the build-up and everything. I know she's still the undisputed champion 130, but if there's any way to possibly make that fight, whether that's a catch weight at 40 or maybe a little higher than that, would you be down to do it?
Yeah, 100%. I think the fans want to see that rematch. I wanted that rematch right away. It's a shame it didn't happen. We both could have made a lot of money. The hype was huge, as you know. But ultimately, it was probably better for me. It was time for me to move up, and staying down would have definitely held me back. So we offered her a fight. Instead of the Sandy rematch, we sent her an offer to fight. She didn't accept it for whatever reason.
This was at what weight?
We offered a catch weight. We would have gone down.
Got it.
And, for whatever reason, now looking back, it's probably because she was in negotiations with MVP, but you never know. Knowing Jake Paul, he's all about big fights and the big buildup. So, maybe they'll want to have that rematch down the line. I don't know what her plans are for now, but you never know. After this year, it's a big year for me at 147. I plan to go undisputed, and then we'll come up with all new goals for 2026.
No, we're excited to see you back in the championship mix. I think it's amazing. I think there's a lot of interesting storylines out there, and I'm glad to see you to be a part of it. Mikaela, I really appreciate the time. Best of luck this week with Sandy.
Thank you. Appreciate it.